Parity, defined as the state or condition of being equal. In sports, parity can usually be seen when most teams in the league or competition are somewhat equal in talent and structure across the board. Parity is something that the NBA tries to push as much as possible in order to have a competitive season. And we've seen quite a few seasons where there was widespread talent across many teams. The 2009-10 season, for example, was a great season when it came to parity, having the most 50-win teams in the past 20 seasons, having a staggering 12 teams with over 50 wins that season. Some of these teams included the Big Three Celtics, the LeBron-led Cavs, the Kobe and Gasol Lakers, and the Dwight Howard-led Magic, just to name a few. However, the upcoming season may have the most 50-win teams in over 20 years, and has the potential to be one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen. The 2023-2024 NBA season has just begun with the preseason, and there will likely not be any more major moves, so let's take a look at the current rosters, because from what I can see, I think that this season has the potential to have over 13 teams with more than 50 wins. But y'all are gonna have to hear me out on this one. Now, let's start with the Eastern Conference, since they might have the least parity out of the two conferences. Right from the get-go, the obvious contenders here are the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. Not to mention the Miami Heat. But simply because they lost two of their biggest pieces in their fairy tale run, I just don't think that the Miami Heat are capable of producing 50 wins this season. But I do think that they have the talent and the grit to get to the playoffs again. Now, I don't think I need to say much about these teams. The Milwaukee Bucks now have two top 10 players with Giannis and Lillard, and still have what I consider a top 5 defensive front court. And now, Drew Holiday has been traded to the Celtics, giving them exactly what they were missing after that Marcus Smart trade to get Porzingis. In fact, I'd argue that they are a slightly better team than they were with Smart. Of course, missing Robert Williams will likely hurt the rim protection a bit, but honestly, the biggest risk here is banking on the health of Porzingis, and also the fact that Robert Williams just could not stay on the court for the life of him. Either way, both of these teams have the most potential to get 60 plus wins out of anyone in the league, not named the Phoenix Suns, and the only other team in the East that I can see getting 50 wins is maybe the Cavs, since they got 50 wins last time. The 76ers don't have a fucking chance at getting 50 wins with Harden being this much of an asshole. All in all, the Eastern Conference Finals of the Bucks and the Celtics is going to hit like crack. But anyways, with the threshold of 50 wins in mind, I believe that the Western Conference has, now hear me out on this one, 11 teams that have the potential. Now notice how I said potential. This does not mean that I think that they will get 50 wins. It just means that they have the manpower and the talent to surpass the threshold. Now, starting with the obvious answer, which is the Denver Nuggets, I think the sheer amount of super teams that we have seen going on in the regular season have made people forget just how good the Denver Nuggets are. They were the underdogs almost the entire playoffs, and somehow they remain that way now. In my view, the Denver Nuggets are in the top 3 teams that go for a title as defending champs, and I still put them on top of the West, even though they did lose some key pieces like Bruce Brown, who was instrumental in their championship run. But regardless, I still think that as long as Nikola Jokic remains healthy and he wants to play basketball, not just leave for his Serbian horses, the Nuggets will remain one of the better teams in the league. Of course, this is assuming that his co-stars can also stay healthy. Either way, I think Denver has the best chance of making it out of the West, and is one of the teams that I consider to be eligible to beat the 50-win threshold. Next, I have the obvious Phoenix Suns, who have Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker in their starting lineup. Now, even though the Suns did have a great offseason, obviously signing Beal, and picking up a bunch of valuable bench players like Yuta Watanabe, Grayson Allen in the Drew Holiday package, I still don't think that they will be a team that makes it past the Western Conference Finals. However, that's not the point of the video. They obviously have the roster to get over 50 wins. In fact, I'd argue that when it comes to getting regular season wins, they will be at the top of the West. The Memphis Grizzlies. They went from Dylan Brooks to Marcus Smart. A somewhat big upgrade, not only because Smart is an overall better defender and player than Brooks, but also because he has the heart and soul that he had with the Celtics in his tenure there, and I can definitely see him being a fantastic piece as a leader to these young and talented Grizzlies roster. The Grizzlies this year are a bit tough because they won't have Ja in the lineup for the first 25 games of the season, which definitely does take a toll on their offense, but it has been known that the Grizzlies are a much better defense with Ja on the bench, and last year they even had an above 500 record with Ja on the bench. Once Ja returns, I do believe that they will be able to get a lot of wins and potentially get to that 50-win season, but who's to say? Then there's the Sacramento Kings, who last year had 48 wins to their name at the end of the regular season, and from my eyes, Fox will take another offensive leap next year, even going as far as maybe averaging 28 points per game. They were 2 wins off the 50-win barrier, which leads me to believe that they could quite possibly reach that threshold this year, especially if they start out strong, and not to mention that I think Keegan Murray is going to have a fantastic sophomore season, which could potentially land them in the top 5 seed in the West once again. Then I have the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, this along with the next few options are going to be a bit more on the speculative side because obviously their injury history. We all know that when healthy, the Clippers are going to be dangerous, especially now with Russell Westbrook, who I believe is going to be a great fit for the Clippers going into the season. However, it is impossible to gloss over the extremely rare scenario that is the Clippers actually being fully healthy. And overall in their tenure together, the Clippers have a 96-46 win record when PG and Kawhi are on the floor together. So if Paul George and Kawhi somehow manage to stay healthy for the entire season, this could potentially be a 50-win season. Though, talking about staying healthy for the entire season, look, we all know just how good Zion is when healthy. The Pelicans were the first seed in the West for a solid few weeks when the roster was healthy, for God's sake. Now, we damn well know that ain't gonna happen, but I pray that Zion remains healthy enough to play at least 60 games. But let's say in the extremely rare scenario that he, Brandon Ingram, and TJ McCollum, and everyone stays healthy, they are going to get 50 wins easily. In my opinion, Zion is a top 10 player in the league when healthy, so should he play most of the games of the season, they will reach the threshold. Now, CP3 in the goddamn Golden State Warriors. Will this work? I don't have a clue. I really don't. They're gonna look like ants on that basketball court with this small-ass lineup. But look, as long as they got their core of Curry, Clay, and Draymond, they're going to be capable of anything. Now, I don't think they will get 50 wins, but I do think that with CP's style of play, they will be able to do some cool things. However, the Los Angeles Lakers, I do very much think that they're going to get to that 50-win threshold. To me, the Lakers are one of the deeper teams in the NBA right now. Plus, assuming that AD remains healthy, which I know, it's a lot to ask, they can definitely get there. They added a lot of great players and re-signed a bunch of key pieces that could definitely get them far. I think that Rui is going to have a breakout season along with Reeves, and if they can all remain healthy, I think they can go even as far as maybe going to 6 or 7 games against the Nuggets, who I still think are the favorites to come out of the West, but obviously that's not the point of the video. Either way, I think that they're easily capable of reaching the 50 wins. The Oklahoma City Thunder, however, I'm quite certain will not make it out of the West, but I do think that they can go pretty far this year. Now, there's going to be a hot take alongside with my next take, which is that I think that the Thunder and the Timberwolves have a lot of potential. Now, before you kill me, I do not think that the Timberwolves will get 50 wins, but I'll get to that in a second. Another hot take, I think that SGA will be a top MVP candidate this year, maybe even as far as winning. With the addition of Chet Holmgren, who I think has a very good shot at winning Rookie of the Year, they're going to get pretty damn far. And I think that they have the potential to really shake things up and even get as far as maybe winning 50 games. Now, back to the Timberwolves, because like I said, I don't think that they will get 50 wins, but last year they got 42 wins with Cat being out most of the season, and if he can stay healthy with Ant having what I consider an MVP jump, they're going to make some noise. And yes, Ant will be in those MVP conversations next year. Mark my words. Finally, the team who is the biggest wild card in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks. This season for the Mavericks is going to be important because the last thing you want to do is miss the playoffs entirely again and make Luka upset. But I think this season Mavs will figure things out. And with the addition of Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and Derek Lively, they're going to be a better team than they were last year. Now, I think it is quite risky to put this much pressure on Derek Lively since he's a rookie, but his defense will come in clutch, I think. As well as Grant Williams and Seth Curry, who can act as catch-and-shoot players, and Grant will provide that perimeter defense that the Mavs so desperately need. So, I do think that they have the potential to get 50 wins this season, if all goes well. And with that, I can say that there are 13 teams in the NBA with the potential to get 50 plus wins in the upcoming NBA season. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. We up.